Hey guys, in today's video I'll be doing another tropical update, and this time it's looking fairly active in the Atlantic, and a lot more active now in the Atlantic Basin. So we have had Josephine and Kyle. Kyle is now history. It's now post-tropical. It's now history. The NHC has already put out their final advisory on it, so that's gone. Josephine is now a tropical depression, so it's now becoming history. It's on its way out and dissipating very slowly. It'll most likely dissipate within the next, at most, 2 to 3 days. What we're really tracking, what's really the main thing about for now is these next two tropical systems, these next two disturbances that the NHC has started monitoring over the past day. This first disturbance, they started monitoring at around late evening yesterday, and then they started monitoring this disturbance earlier this morning. So both these systems, they do say as they move forward, as they move farther to the west, this first disturbance is in the central tropical Atlantic, will continue west and go across most likely the central Leeward Islands into the Caribbean, and then once the system is in the central to western Caribbean, it will have its best chance of forming into a tropical system. And then this system, let me zoom this in for you guys. It says this system, another tropical wave located just west of the coast of Africa, is producing a large area of cloudiness and showers. The wave is forecast to move westward at 15 to 20 miles per hour during the next few days, and some slow development will be possible by the middle to latter part of the week as environmental conditions become more conducive while the system is over the central tropical Atlantic. So really, this is really the first time so far this season where the NHC has started to monitor disturbances and say as they move forward, move more towards the west or wherever direction they think it will head, the conditions will become more conducive than less conducive for development. So this is very interesting. These two systems are the model. Particularly the European model is really hooking onto both these systems, potentially becoming our next tropical systems. So again, we've already gone through the K name, that's the 11th name on the list. So we've already gone through 11 names up to this point, which is insane. We're already on a record pace for the season, and it's just going to get more active over the next at least 2 to 3 weeks. So that'll be very interesting to see. So if these next two systems do form, it'll really depend on how quickly both these systems try to develop into tropical systems. But if these next two systems both form, we would be looking at the L name and the M name forming. So the L name is Laura this year, the M name is Marco this year. So, and for me, I'm just like looking at the names this year, I was like, oh, what names could potentially be, associated with stronger systems? I was like, oh, Laura and Marco kind of sound like their names like they could be associated with stronger systems, and that could happen with either of these systems, honestly, especially with the fact that as they move farther west, the conditions will become more favorable for development. So we'll see how that goes. And then just real quick, this is really mainly going to be a video on the Atlantic Basin, because this is the first time all season that the Atlantic Basin has started to become this active. The Eastern Pacific has been quite active for a while, and now we have Fausto, the F-name storm for the Eastern Pacific. It's currently at 40 miles per hour. It's not really supposed to become that strong. It's actually supposed to potentially dissipate over the next 3 days. It should be fully dissipated by the middle of the week, this upcoming week. And then there's Tropical Depression 10. It was just also like Fausto. It hasn't become a tropical. It's not going to become a tropical storm. Won't be named, and will likely keep being a tropical depression up until it dissipates over the next 3 to 5 days. But Tropical Depression 12, which the NC has just made it an official tropical depression, is forecast to strengthen quite significantly and potentially could become a major hurricane, the second major hurricane of the Eastern Pacific hurricane season this year, as of right now, by Tuesday evening. So this one could generally rapidly develop, especially as we head towards the beginning of this upcoming week. So that'll be very interesting to see. Now, shifting to, I wanted to show you this tweet I found on Twitter a few days ago. When was this? This was August 12th. So what's today? This was 4 days ago. Today's the 16th. This was put out 4 days ago. And this is from the European EPS, the Ensemble European. Is it? Yeah. Oh no, sorry. This is the ENS. This is still Ensemble European, all of the European models, and they're showing the next 7 to 10 days. The Atlantic looks to become very busy with many low pressure systems coming off of Africa, going through the MDR, and then trying to go farther west towards the Caribbean or up towards the East Coast, north of Puerto Rico and Hispaniola. So next 7 to 10 days, we're going to really have to watch out for a lot of activity, especially a lot of activity coming off of Africa. So make sure you are prepared now, and really just prepare for the next few weeks to be extremely busy. And we'll just have to see potentially what systems maybe try to impact the U.S. So that'll be very interesting to see. And this is due to the fact that the Atlantic is now, especially over the past few days, but now from today moving forward over the next 2 to 3 weeks at least, is moving into an conducive MJO phase. MJO stands for the Madden-Julian Oscillation. And the phase we're about to go into is it's going to be a conducive phase for development in the Atlantic. It was over the Eastern Pacific, and that's why we've seen so much potential activity in the Eastern Pacific, and we've seen all these invests that the NHC has been monitoring in the Eastern Pacific over the past week or so. And so that's what's going to be moving into the Atlantic. You can see right here, there it is, a massive area of conduciveness for tropical development moving forward. This is between today, or actually, sorry, this was from yesterday through the 22nd, but it's really not changed much. It's like pretty much like from today through the 22nd, 23rd, and it'll continue through the end of August and even into the earlier parts of September before we go back into a sinking phase of an MJO. But even though we will be going to a sinking phase, potentially going towards the middle of September, towards the end of September, September is really the peak month, the true peak month of the Atlantic hurricane season. But of course, we all know August, September, those are the true peak months put together for the Atlantic hurricane season, and we're starting to enter that peak now, and we'll be going through that over the next at least 2 to 3 weeks, if not the next month or so. So we should expect for potentially a lot of tropical activity to start forming in the Atlantic. So really make sure you're prepared now. And the fact that, and even though we're going, by the way, into the sinking phase, going through the middle to end of September, that really won't truly inhibit development in the Atlantic, because by that point we're already like at the peak of the hurricane season. It's really like the peak of the hurricane season where most activity forms, so that won't really hinder the activity too much. It might hinder it like a little bit. We might see like maybe a couple to few storms less than usual, but really we should still expect a lot of activity to happen throughout September. And because of that, and because of the fact that we've already at this point gone through the K name, I do expect that we will enter the Greek alphabet by towards the end of September, maybe at the latest the very beginning of October. But as of right now, I think anywhere between September 20th and October 1st is when we could start to expect to potentially enter the Greek alphabet. And I actually most likely will have to put out a new updated official hurricane season forecast for the Atlantic, changing the 23 named storms now that I'm forecasting up to 25, because it's just, I mean, it's really just looking at all signs to be just getting extremely active, which is very worrying. Now, going from that, I want to show you first the Nino regions. Now, over the past couple of days, the Nino regions have started to try to warm up a little bit. So now the 3.4 Nino region, which is the region of the Enso region in the central eastern Pacific, in the equatorial Pacific, that's where we go to find what Enso phase we're in, whether it's a El Nino, neutral, or La Nina. For the hurricane season, an El Nino Enso phase would hinder a lot of hurricane development. A neutral to La Nina would really increase hurricane development, especially if we're going into a La Nina. And that is what is forecast going into, especially going between August and October. So really going into September, we should expect to officially, at some point in September, officially enter a La Nina. Now, it is on the uptick a little bit for the sea surface temperatures for the Enso regions. 3.4 region currently sits at negative 0.432 degrees Celsius. And then the Nino 3 region is currently kind of holding steady or so, but a little warmer than it was at negative 0.422 degrees Celsius. The Nino 4 region has been really warming up, even though it was actually really cooling off over the past week. It started to really warm back up again, getting back to negative 0.081 degrees Celsius. So that is a lot warmer than it was, where it was actually more towards around negative 0.03 degrees Celsius, or somewhere around there. The Nino 1+2 region is also warming a good bit. It was actually extremely cold. It was like really between -2 to -2 to -2.5 degrees Celsius. Now it's up to -1.652 degrees Celsius. So it is all generally on the uptick, warming up in the Enso region a little bit. But I do expect that will subside pretty soon, and it will start to cool off pretty significantly once again pretty soon. Now, here's the look at the general sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic Basin, and you can see the Gulf and the Caribbean, and really the southern half of the East Coast and the subtropics are the warmest, especially in the Gulf. The Gulf is really up towards 31, 32 degrees Celsius, which is 90 degrees Fahrenheit or even a little warmer. So the Gulf is an extremely prime state to support extreme tropical development. Same with the Caribbean. It's not as warm as the Gulf, but pretty close to it. It's anywhere between 28 to 30 degrees Celsius, which is in the upper 80s to near 90 degrees Fahrenheit. The MDR region is also quite warm. It's in the between anywhere really from 26, 27 degrees Celsius up towards 28, 29 degrees Celsius, which is anywhere from the low to upper 80s in Fahrenheit. And then the East Coast is, the East Coast is generally warming up. Because of Isaias, the northeast New England coast has cooled down a bit, but still pretty decently warm, a lot warmer than typical, than it typically would be. And actually, the northeast coastline for sea surface temperatures is the most above average for the entire East Coast, because of the fact that, well, the northeast and New England coastline for ocean temperatures is generally pretty cold. But we are well above average for the northeast New England coast. And then, well, from Florida up through about Virginia, the sea surface temperatures are at 80 degrees Fahrenheit up towards 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So really, the entire Atlantic Basin is generally in support of a lot of extreme tropical development. So we should expect that any tropical systems that we are going to be monitoring could end up becoming a named storm, and should not rule out the question for any systems that we're tracking to potentially become named storms to become very strong systems. So really, just do not let your guard down, and do not count out any possibilities for any systems that we'll be tracking especially over the next few weeks. Now, I want to show you the 12Z run of the GFS is just coming in now. I guess I can try to show you what it's showing currently. It doesn't go too far out. It only goes out to 108 hours. But you can see that it's not really showing too much development out through out through around August 21st. But the GFS has really currently been pretty non-reliable, especially over the past week. because really the CMC and European models, the 12Z CMC is just coming in, so let's use the 00Z run of the CMC, the most current run that we can actually use. CMC and the European models have been showing quite decent tropical development, so that's something we're really going to have to watch out for. There's that system right there. This system is that one that just came off Africa that will be crossing the MDR and will likely be able to form form to its best extent as it also enters the central to western Caribbean, and then get pretty strong as it heads towards Yucatan and southern Mexico and those areas. And then that other system ahead of it looks to, as of right now, the CMC doesn't show it being overall impressive for becoming all that strong of a system, but it does show it. There is a closed low pressure center there, and it crosses the Yucatan Central America into the very southern Gulf, into the Bay of Campeche, and then making landfall. As of currently right now, they think it will make landfall in Mexico, though that is, of course, still pretty far out, so we'll have to continue to monitor these systems. There is always a chance that both these systems could be much stronger than is currently forecast. Now, the European model, which it's the 12Z run of the European model, most likely won't come out for another few hours, but the current run, the 00Z run from much earlier this morning, currently shows that let's bring this back so we can actually really track it well. You can see there's that system, that first system that the NHC is monitoring, the first disturbance in the central tropical Atlantic. It will head, the European is very interesting. It shows it heading north of the Caribbean, north of, wait, no, this isn't right. Oh, no, sorry, that was, what am I, God, I am so off. That was Josephine, which will dissipate, never mind. So, hold on, let me go back and just figure this out. So there's that first disturbance there, and then the second disturbance is right around here. Now, as we move this forward, there's that first disturbance. It moves into the Caribbean. The European doesn't show anything overly impressive with that system. Here's that second disturbance, shows it maybe getting its act together, kind of going straight over Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, and Cuba, and then into the Gulf, where it looks to show it getting a bit stronger. So, yeah, well, I mean, we'll have to really watch both of these systems, and honestly, both these systems could become much stronger than of course, the models are showing currently, and we'll especially actually have to watch, I think, that second disturbance behind this first disturbance in the central tropical Atlantic, this one that just came off of Africa. I think that's going to be the main one we're really going to have to watch. All right, so now let's go to the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season page on Wikipedia. And we've had, in a row, our earliest 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th named storms on record, beating all of those records, all of those previous storm records that were set in 2005. So it was from, let me just make sure I get this right, from Edward through Isaias, the E through I name all became in a row the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th earliest named storms on record, beating all of those named storms from 2005. And currently for the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season, we've had a total of 12 depressions, total of 11 named storms, 2 hurricanes total this season, and we haven't had any major hurricanes yet this season, but that will most likely change decently drastically over the next few weeks, I think. Current total fatalities is at 45, and the current total damage is around $6 billion in damage, and that is, again, mainly due to the fact that Isaias caused around $4.2 billion in damage alone. So that was a truly crazy system. But again, Tropical Storm Josephine is still active. It is tropical depression now. They haven't updated this yet on the Wikipedia page for it, but it is a tropical depression now, and it will most likely dissipate by probably by Tuesday or Wednesday, I think. So, and then we'll really have to look out for potentially having Laura and Marco forming from those other 2 disturbances that the NHC has been started monitoring. But again, the fact that we've gone through the K-name storm, which is the 11th name again on the list, on the pre-designated list of names for the tropical season in the Atlantic, the fact that we've gone through the K-name storm means that we're going to see potentially names that we typically don't associate with stronger systems this year could be associated with stronger systems. In fact, I think the O, P, R, S, and T names this year, the O name is Omar this year, P name is Paulette, the R name is Reen, or Rene, something like that, I don't know. Then the S name is Sally, the T name is Teddy. I think those names could be five names, all those 5 names could be associated with much stronger systems than typical. And even actually going farther and saying the V and W names, the last 2 names on the pre-designated list, could also be associated with stronger systems, a bit stronger systems than typically associated with, which would mean that we would enter the Greek alphabet if we get through the W name, which is Wilfred. So that'll be very interesting to see. And again, I think we could enter the Greek alphabet as soon as September 20th, but as latest as October 1st. So anywhere between September 20th and October 1st, I think we will enter the Greek alphabet as of right now. And again, I do think because of the fact that we've gone through the K-name already, I will have to put out a new video updating my official 2020 Atlantic hurricane season forecast to 25 named storms total, 11 hurricanes and 7 major hurricanes. I'm not changing my forecast for total hurricanes and major hurricanes because those are already so high, forecasting to be so high that I'm like, I don't need to forecast any higher because that would just be insane, and lower just because I don't think that would be realistic either, with the way things potentially will be about to go. So again, I'll probably be putting that video out, honestly, within the next week, so look out for that. Hopefully you're excited for that. And also, I hope you really enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you're a first-time viewer to my channel and you liked what you saw in this video, please consider subscribing. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.